Now, okay. Now at the bottom, you see the cup-like shape.
Did you see the second slide?
Yeah, we can see the
Yes,
second
but
slide.
it's not presentation mode.
You see presentation mode. You see the next to it to the right.
That's
Yes,
it. That's
this
it.
one.
Yeah.
Double
That's it.
click on
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Double click.
Click on it.
Double click.
Double click.
That's okay?
No, so why don't you go one after the other on the left side of the screen
I think
and
we
just
can.
click the
Slide number.
slide number, one after the other.
Yeah, I think we just have to use this mode. I don't think we can see the other one.
You see with the number 2 you have, click on number 3. Let's see. On the left side, the left column.
Side.
Yeah, it's not working. I've actually got.
No, he's working. It's coming. Okay,
is
we can live with the smaller picture. Okay, you continue with your presentation.
Is okay here?
Yeah, we see
okay?
the challenges. Yes.
Yes, okay, it's beautiful. Go ahead.
Go ahead with the
Did you
challenges.
see this slide?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yes, we see it.
I said about the challenge when to deal cavernosinus tumor. Is the mortality high? Is the postoperative cranial nerve morbidity acceptable? Is there a space for subtotal resection? And how to predict the surgery, the success of the surgery. Did you see these slides?
Yes.
The anatomy? No.
Right. We see the anatomy slide.
Oh, yes. And how to choose the approach to the cavernosinus. And we need to take the shortest route, use the pre-existing potential avenues like the tumor itself, use osteotomy to avoid the brain retraction, and you can do a zygomaticotomy, you can do a FOZ craniotomy, respect the brain cosmos, control the feeding arteries, plan the access in relation to the reconstruction, and consider the possibility of the future surgery. And you must try to preserve the facial branch, you must try to preserve the temporal muscle in order to have a good access to the tumor. In the pre-operative plan must include the
Landero, if you want to advance your slide, you have to advance it with the number. Okay, now you finish with the 3, you want to move to the 4th slide, you have to advance it yourself. Number 4. On the left side.
My number 4 didn't move that.
No, you put the user on number 4 slide, on the left side. The left column. You are number 6.
Number 4? Did you see the number 4?
Yes, yeah, but remember, you have to advance it yourself.
After talk about the approach, we talk about the preoperative planning must include the CT, MIR, angiography, and sometimes with a balloon occlusive test in a specific case. As you can see here, the cavernosinus meningioma, the 2 cavernosinus meningioma are those that originated within the cavernosinus and grow out the cavernosinus. They tended to narrow the intercavernous carotid artery. They tend to spread along the tentorium, can also grow towards the sella and may across to the opposite cavernosinus. Adjacent hyperostose in skull-based tumor sometimes can be resembles a tumor involvement. And if you can drilling the hyperostotic bone is possible, but remember, is try to preserve all the vital structures involved by the hyperostosis, like a Eustachian tube, like a branch from the facial nerve, and even the carotid artery. On the past is a very interesting classification proposed by Hirsch and Schecker about the tumors, the relationship between the tumors and the carotid artery. Look, the number grade 1, the tumor touch or partially encircle the carotid artery. Number 2, completely encircled but without stenosis of the carotid artery. And number 3, encircle and narrow the internal carotid artery intercavernal. Remember here, this is the really cavernous sinus tumor. This is the confined cavernous sinus tumor. As you can see here, the classification, this is a grade 1, the tumor touch but not encircle, the tumor touch, encircle but not narrow, and the really confined cavernous sinus tumor, the tumor inside the cavernous sinus, involved and narrow the carotid artery. Some considerations about cavernous sinus tumor. It's an extremely rare tumor, lesser than 1% of the intercavernous tumor, the intracranial tumor. Meningiomas are the most common tumor of the cavernous sinus, about almost 0.5%. The symptoms are related first to the 6th nerve, 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd nerve. The symptoms can be treated with a short courses of the corticosteroids and carbamazepine now. Surgery of the confined cavernous sinus tumor can be dangerous, but not abandoned if you planning, if the patient has a good indication for doing it. And generally, the tumors growing is very slow. The ideal surgery to cavernous sinus is in case of extracavernous sinus meningioma complexion invasion, mainly in tumor who invade in the optic canal and compress the optic nerve, compress the 5th nerve, compress the 3rd nerve. And radiotherapy can be considering and persistent if the patient persists in the symptoms although the clinical treatment. As you can see here, look at the indication. If the patient has a progressive optic neuropathy, extraocular motor deficits, young patient with a Hirsch grade 1 and grade 2, the compression of the extracavernous sinus portions of the tumors in all the patient, functional pituitary tumor invading the cavernous sinus, and make a diagnosis. Not now. On the past, I did some biopsies, some approaches to tumor inside the cavernous sinus, like lymphoma, but nowadays, I think it's not more necessary. Look at this. I used on the past the FOZ approach or similar. I use it to dissect the carotid artery on the neck and are able to prepare saphenous vein or superficial temporal artery bypass in some cases, but nowadays it's completely necessary. Look at the steps of the approaches. As you can see here, the postoperative view of the tumor. I could remove the anterior clinoid process. I could remove all the bone of the superior orbital fissure and the complex, all the nerve of the lateral wall. The patient developed third nerve deficit after surgery, but she's recovered very well. Look at the postoperative view. Is the tumor inside. Look at here is the carotid. It's completely stenosing before the surgery, and as you can see here, the carotid is almost normal size, normal diameter. As you can see here, the patient many months later recovered the visual function. Is another case is the tumor invading the optic canal, compress the optic nerve, and I can do a cavernous sinus approach, decompress the optic nerve. Look, the extradural portion, the orbit, the dura over the orbit is the intradural space. After open the cavernous sinus, you can see the carotid artery, the optic nerve, and decompress the tumor, involve the bone, and you can see here, after remove the anterior clinoid process and all a good part of the superior orbital fissure. As you can see here, the patient on the postoperative view and the immediate postoperative view, and the postoperative view, the patient recovered very, very well the oculomotor deficit. Look, is another patient with a third nerve deficit, the tumor invading the optic canal, involved the carotid artery, across to the other side to the sella and breathing, and I can decompress the optic canal, I can decompress the oculomotor nerves, and the patient recover very well, as you can see the beautiful images after the surgery. But and sometimes I have a tumor placed on Meckel cable and compress the cavernous sinus, and as you can see here, the approach to the middle fossa, I did the Kawase approach in this case. Look at this. After peeling, I drilling good part of the bone, of the temporal bone, and dissect the tumor after the peeling, and we have a good resection in the postoperative view of the patient without any neurological problems. But one of the more important things in cavernous sinus surgery is for non-meningioma tumor, like chordoma. Have you seen the slides? Everything okay? Imad?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Emote peak. Yes. Look at this chordoma from the posterior clinoid process. Probably nowadays I did the surgery to the nose. I did the endoscopic approach to this kind of tumor, and I will be able to remove a good part of the tumor. But 10 years ago, I did the FOZ approach to the cavernous sinus. As you can see here, the orbit, the extradural space, I made the peeling. You see the anterior clinoid process. Here, the clinoid process totally were removed. Make a peeling. I open the dura, and you can see the extradural space and the intradural space communicate between two space, optic nerve, carotid artery, and the tumor inside the cavernous sinus. I removed the anterior clinoid process before, and after I could to remove inside the cavernous sinus. The so-called transcavernous sinus approach is the posterior clinoid process, drilling as much as possible the posterior clinoid process where the tumor arising, and good to remove a good part of the tumor. As you can see here, the postoperative view is a radical removal. The anterior clinoid process and the posterior clinoid process were removed too. And the patient, the post 1 month later, the patient with a 6 nerve deficit, but she's recovered very well 6 months later. Is another case. The paper was published in the World of Neurosurgery 1 year in 2019. The tumor were a hemangioblastoma tumor. Look, is the tumors, is hemangioblastomas, is very bleeding tumor. I did the FOZ craniotomy, extradural clinoidectomy. Here is the orbit. Here is the anterior clinoid process.
Click on the slide number, please.
Oh, sure.
On the number, columns.
Oh, sure. This is the patient with the hemangioblastoma.
Dr. Landero, you will be having about 3 minutes more, please.
Oh, sure. This is a video, but I can to demonstrate this video. Look at this. Is the tumor. Look at the triangle obtained after inside the cavernous sinus. Here is the postoperative view. The tumor were totally removed. The patient developed a third nerve deficit, but she's recovered very well. Here I have an invasive cavernous sinus tumor by acromegalic patient, and I could remove it to the nose, as you can see here. Look at this. As you can see the video.
Yes.
Yes. I did a transcellular approach and transpterygoid approach to enter inside the cavernous sinus. As you can see here, lateral placed, we have the carotid artery. I displaced the carotid artery here and go to medially to the carotid artery. You see the knee of the carotid artery. Above the knee, you have a tumor. Below the knee, you have a tumor. And the tumor were totally removed, as you can see here. And the last case is the epidermoid cyst invading the medial fossa. Started from the cerebellopontine angle, go to the midline, invaded to the medial fossa, and invading the Meckel cave, compressing the V1, compressing the V1, and look at the tumor. Is another type of MIR? Is look at I did the Kawase approach in this tumor, in the FOZ approach. I did the Kawase approach, and I could remove the tumor from below until to the CP angle, remove on the midline, and remove the tumor close to the cavernous sinus. As you can see here, postoperative view after totally remove the epidermoid cyst. And I want to say immediate general morbidity is significant, but oculomotor deficit is transient. There is no surgical mortality in my series. Nowadays, more 70 cases of cavernous sinus tumor. 0.5% of the tumor were meningioma, and the other case include the pituitary tumors and chordomas and another class of the tumors. Recurrence, I think recurrence can be controlled with the radiotherapy or radiosurgery. And I believe the worst complication my study was ischemic event due to carotid stenosis in clinoidal meningioma encasing and narrow the carotid artery. And I tried to remove all the tumor, and the patient developed severe head spasm, vasospasm after the surgery. And I thank you to Imad, thank you Vladimir Bennett, thank you to the assistant, because your patient Twitter is I think is the lecture was did in the another Windows,